Welcome to the Hoopsters League of Action Heroes. Among many programs that we have on our website and various other on-ground, through our on-ground activities, one thing that we hold very close to our heart is our contests. We have 3 contests called the Super Hooper Contest, My School is Best Contest, and the Super Mom and Dad Contest. Now, the idea is there are so many people in the world who are doing some amazing things, be it schools, be it children, be it parents. There are people who are doing some wonderful work and that hardly ever gets out to people out there. All we're hearing is bad news all the time. So we wanted to bring about this good information so people can actually celebrate these change makers. Whether it is a kid who is helping out at home, or it is an initiative you're taking, or you're helping an animal on the street, anything that is a feel-good thing that you're doing qualifies to be on this contest. So in our first segment, we are looking at My School is Best. And we are here talking to Ms. Lovely Datta Prasti, who is the Vice Principal of Delhi Public School, Whitefield. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. The reason we are speaking to you is we have also had a longer association from the beginning since Hoopster started doing their work. We've done a webinar together. And we also know that DPS has been doing a lot of work for their students, with their students. And we consider you one of the schools that leads by example. So thank you so much for coming here today. I know it has been—
My pleasure.
I know it's hectic for schools, and to take some time off for us, really, thank you. So to begin with, what I would like to ask you is, see, the thing is, children spend a lot of time at school. This is where they learn most of their values. They learn empathy. They learn a lot of different things besides the academics. So my question to you is, what kind of initiatives are you taking from your school or through your school to inspire your students and to help them learn these qualities?
Right now, during the pandemic, you mean to say, right?
You could tell me before and during, because either way, both of them.
Before, of course, peer learning is very important. So before the pandemic started, we had a wonderful time when children came in, and we had a lot of activities where children could, mingle with each other and work together in collaboration. So collaborative learning was something that we really initiated, and we told our teachers that this is how you should plan your lessons. So the lesson planning was done in such a way that every child was involved in it, and they were able to meet each other, work with each other. So that was one of the ways. And then we also had activities where we told them about all the community workers. So we would invite such people to talk to the children in the class and give them an idea about, what these people actually do. So the children, little ones, really learned a lot about community helpers and workers. And what's important thing that we did was that, we helped them to understand the importance, the value of the work that these people were doing, and to appreciate it. Many children sometimes take it for granted. Okay, like you are in a restaurant, a waiter comes to you, so it is his job. So you really don't give him that value, or learn to say thank you. So these are things that we told our children, that you must learn to say thank you to all these community workers as and when you come across them. So I think these are some of the unique things that we did, and children, we feel proud that our children know these things, and it has added to their manners, and so as
this was something you did during the pandemic, during the COVID?
This was something that we used to do before. Now, during the pandemic, what has happened is, of course, everything is online. But our classes are going on as usual, in the sense that we are meeting up with the children online, and the syllabus has not changed as such. The lesson planning maybe has taken a slight change, a detour, because now we are not in a physical classroom. But at the same time, the benefit is that we are able to share a lot of nice videos with the children. The teachers are making a lot of wonderful videos, and we are able to show those to the children. And so the learning is happening. It's still there. It's still going on. So even about all the different festivals or about community workers, we're still talking to them about these things online. So the children are learning them.
And do the children ever get involved directly with working with community workers, or is it mostly a learning process, or have you got them to actually get involved and be a part
No,
of it?
we do get them involved. We have field trips also where we take the children and to different organizations, and we help them to see the process, be part of it, and then take the learning home. And when they come back to class, we also ask them questions about it. What did you learn? And so that is also something that they're doing hands-on. It's not
Right.
just that we give them a talk in the class or something like that.
That's
So
really
there are
great.
follow-up
Yeah.
activities also.
That's something really amazing, because I think when they grow up, when they're talking to waiters or when they're addressing somebody, it's a very good sign people are polite when they're nice. So I'm
Exactly.
glad you're doing something like that. And coming to the pandemic situation, now the kids have had to sit in front of the computers, teachers have had to adapt. And I'm sure that you have noticed that there are some qualities that are very important for people to adapt so quickly. What have you noticed
Yes.
that kids need the most? Yes, academics are very, very important, but what are the
Yes.
some qualities that really define each student and make them unique?
Uh, Something that we keep on harping in schools is discipline.
Huh.
So when in a physical classroom, the teacher is always there to, raise a voice, to be a little firm, that body language and everything, to make the children understand and follow what you want to tell them and follow certain decorum. Online, it becomes a little difficult, but then children have learned that, that discipline is something very important, even if it is an online class. Say, attending the class on time. When children enter the classroom, the teacher knows which child has logged in at the right time. And we just don't stay at that, okay, they're logged in and they are there in the class. You never know, especially in senior classes, children can log in and go back to sleep. And
Right.
if we don't really follow up on that, so it will become a problem. So we ask our teachers to keep asking questions in between, and refer to every child by name, call out every child by name, so that we know that they are there. And the children also feel good that okay, the teacher is noticing whether I'm there or not.
Hmm.
So that way I feel discipline is something that we have been able to utilize even in the online classes. We have put it in place. Yes.
So when we first spoke in our webinar that we had, I think in the month of June or something like that,
Yeah.
we were just getting into this online classes. We were just starting out. And how do you think things have changed now? Is it easier now? What are the changes you have made?
Yeah, initially, when everything was sudden, it became a problem for both teachers and students to handle it. But it was very quick. Our teachers were very smart, and we gave them the right kind of training. And it was almost overnight that they changed their outlook and, they're perceptive towards teaching, learning. And children also got the training. And I think by now, things have settled in very well. In
Mhm.
fact, now we don't even feel that, we're doing a virtual class, because we're
Right.
doing everything practically. We even have conducted exams. So children and teachers are both comfortable now.
So they're working together comfortably.
They're working together comfortably. So
That's amazing. And with all your initiatives, like you spoke about the community work that you're doing with community workers and all of that, tell us something that the children have told you, something that you really were moved by, that, wow, my kids are learning this from these people. Was there something that you noticed?
certain children, like especially the younger ones, they are more vocal about these things. That senior kids usually don't like to share too much. But there are students who have come back and told us that how they have helped their workers. I mean, the ones who come home and taught them how to read or something, or taught them the alphabet. One child actually came and said that there was this worker, the domestic helper who used to come, and her child was missing school
Hmm.
because he didn't have the online facility in a government school. So he actually shared his own, he asked his father to give him a laptop or something, and one old laptop he used, and the child would come to their house and he would teach them how to use it.
Oh,
So
wow.
I thought, like, that empathy and the ability to share, that is something great. So these are kind of stories that really are very warming and heartwarming and really nice. And you feel, okay, our children have learned something.
And what is the response of parents to something like this when they see you doing this kind of work? How do the parents
Parents,
respond?
parents have been very nice, and they have given us very good feedback. I
Mhm.
think initially across everywhere in India, and especially in Karnataka, parents were very much against the online classes and things like that. But over time, they also realized and had to accept that this was the way things have to
Yeah,
be for some time, and you have to accept it. Like, we can't afford to let the children lose out on their learning and education. And
right.
parents have been giving us very good feedback. In fact, they've been telling us that we are doing a good job, and children, in fact, they're learning quite a lot. And when I'm taking, I have to tell you this on a personal note, that when I'm taking interviews for children, like for the next academic session and all, I see children who have come from other schools where, I mean, I shouldn't be mentioning any names, but their learning is not what we are doing. Their learning is not up to the mark, and I realize that okay, they are having online classes, but not very substantial learning has been happening. Whereas at DPS Whitefield, the learning has been really substantial.
So what do you think differentiates your school from the rest?
I think we have always followed the vision that we need to cater to each child, and each child is important, and we cannot stop at just teaching the syllabus as such, but we need to go beyond that. Our teachers are always willing to go, the extra mile to give their best, and come to think of it, now school has become like 24/7, because teachers are thinking constantly all the time and interacting with each other, and what next to do, what best method, what is the best strategy to use, and everything. So I think they're really putting in a lot of hard work. So that I have to vouch for.
Now, when we're coming to the pandemic, and again, we're talking about online class and all of that, one thing that probably takes a back seat, I'm not sure if the same case is with your school, is extracurriculars. Of course, the kids do not have time for it possibly. And I think teachers also are pretty burdened with all the work that they're doing. So have you been able to inculcate any extracurriculars?
Yes, I'll be very proud to say this, that like I said, nothing in our syllabus or curriculum has actually changed except the medium of teaching, that is online. Otherwise, teachers are doing everything. We are having our PE classes, we are having our music and dance, and whatever the teachers had planned for the year, for the little ones also, like color days, or teaching them about the different festivals and teaching them an activity along with those festivals. For example, like for Diwali, we had sessions with the children where we told them the importance of Diwali, and we taught them how to paint diyas, So those are the activities that we have been doing. And there were some activities where the parents also collaborated with the children, and then they shared all that. They took pictures, they took videos. We've had our investiture ceremony online. We've had our MUN, where more than 300 children participated online. So it was a very successful event. And I'm very proud to say that we have conducted all these things. So we have not let anything go out of the syllabus that, the school year. Children shouldn't miss anything of the school year, except that they cannot come and meet physically.
Right. So what do you think is the importance that extracurriculars play? What is the role that they play in developing a child?
Very, very important. It's like what in English we say, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So similarly, we all know that in today's world, it's not only academics, but a holistic development is what we are looking at. And creative thinking, critical thinking, application of these concepts is what's important. So if you just make them learn, in a rote learning method, or just give them the textbook to learn, it's not really going to help them become good citizens in the future. It's not going to help them to think critically. So when they are having all these extracurricular activities, they learn so many things, like working in a team, collaborating with others, having patience, listening to others' points of view. It's not that only what I say or my thought process is correct. You have to give space to other people and accept what they say also. So these are things I think very, very important. And without extracurricular activities, no education is complete. So we completely believe in that.
Okay. And see, the thing is, the pandemic has changed a lot of our thinking. We have all started looking at different ways of adapting, and considering even the job markets have changed a lot. People had to suddenly try to look for alternatives and all of that. So given that situation, we don't know how vulnerable we are in the future. Today is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Given that, what kind of skills would you inculcate in your child to help them in such a situation in case it happens again when they are in the job market, or when they are working? What kind of qualities would you like to inculcate in your children?
I think this is very important. What you've asked, a very relevant question, because there was a time when, we would think that teaching cannot happen outside the classroom.
Right.
And, you have to go to school, and only the software engineers got an opportunity to work from home. But today that's also happened, and we have broken those barriers. And so children, I think, are learning a lot. And we have to give them skills like 21st century skills, especially things about like machine learning, or AI, what we say, artificial intelligence. These are things that coding. These are things that children need to learn now, because the job market definitely is going to be very, very different, and things are going to be more digital in the
Mm.
future. So I think that aspect is something that we need to really look into and help our children to learn more,
Right.
especially things to do with software, computers, and all.
Right. And how are extracurriculars changing? Are they changing at all? Or because I remember that even when we were in school, we had a lot of art and craft and dance and music. We had all of these things. But with the changing times, how did you have to adapt with your extracurriculars as well? Was there any change? Was there any?
Yes, definitely, definitely, because times are changing, so we cannot just you have the same kind. Definitely, art and craft is still there, but I
Correct.
think there is the way of conducting it that has changed.
Right.
Like we have digital art also nowadays, and
Mm-hmm.
things can you can draw, paint everything in on a digital platform. So those are changing. So in our school, we have things like robotics, aero modeling, and so many other things that which are very different from the usual run-of-the-mill kind of co-curricular activities.
Okay. And what kind of programs do you think we will have to start in the future, considering that yes, now children will come back to school suddenly one day. They'll suddenly be it's going to be a shift again. Now probably they're
Yes,
comfortable sitting. Suddenly they have to come back to school.
yes.
So what kind of programs do you think we'll have to?
I think so far, although schools had an audio-visual kind of thing, some schools have interactive boards and things like that. Teaching learning will have to be more digital. Children will be expecting the teacher to come up with more interesting content,
Right.
and so the teachers now, because they have the facility of showing YouTube videos or something very quickly at the click of a
Mm.
button, in a normal classroom, they have to really prepare themselves and go. So I think schools have to be a little bit more computerized, kind of, digitalized. So all that will have to come in. More technical things or technology has to be an important part of the school.
And what are
So,
you looking forward to when the classes reopen? Besides meeting
oh,
your
I'm
kids, of
just
course.
looking forward to listening to the children running around the place and talking, hugging, making noise. What we used to tell them, don't talk so much, don't run around. I don't think I'm going to stop them from doing that now. If they ever come back, I would be so happy. The corridors will be resounding with their happy voices. So that's something that we are all looking forward to. I think children and teachers equally.
I think this is the time when we learn the importance of social skills, don't we? When we're actually isolated
Exactly.
and we learn the importance
I
of these
think
things.
children are also learning to value each other, definitely.
Hmm.
When they had taken their friends for granted, now they realize they can't see them all the time, and they're dying to meet each other. So I think that is the first thing, the first joyful thing that will happen in school when they
Right.
come back, just to
And
see their friends.
yeah, absolutely. See, the thing is that until we are put in a situation where we cannot meet anybody, we don't realize how important these social
Exactly.
skills are.
And man is a social animal. We shouldn't
Absolutely.
forget that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the world that we are in, I mean, digitization has its positives and its negatives. And some way I think we're getting disconnected from people a lot.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, what kind of social skills do children need to focus on now?
Yeah, we need to actually definitely, again, the onus is on the parents and the teachers. I think we need to go back to some of the things that we used to do earlier, where meeting people, socially, and family and friends meeting, and having some get-togethers or on important functions. All those kind of things have to come back to society. Which now, because we had this excuse that we are all in cities and we are having nuclear families and all, and we don't get to meet, so we have this excuse. In fact, here, even if you want to visit a friend, you would always have to call up and find, like, kind of take an appointment. Will you be there? But in small towns, you see that never happen. I think those are the things that should come back, and we should be telling those to our children also, that you should meet up with your friends, and instead of just and try to, although we will be doing things more online, but I think we should put a line there also, so
Right.
that they should know where to draw the line and when to stop and when to go out and actually have genuine friends instead of being on online friends and all that. So I
Right.
think that is one thing that we need to look into.
Now, given that you have been working with children and you're in the industry of education and all of that, I'm sure you also have a fair idea about how the job market is changing. So, what are the expectations? We're talking about the job market because today, with all the things that happen, we have to be prepared. We really have to be prepared and make sure kids are in the right direction. So, what are some important skills that the job market is looking for, along with academics, in addition to academics?
I think the adaptability for children to change their thought process and adapt to different things, different cultures, and also to some extent the languages. They can learn some different languages to understand people, because they'll be working with people from every corner of this world. It's not just English, but say languages like even Mandarin.
Mhm.
Something that people will have to learn gradually, the children.
Right.
And basically computer, their use of technology, that is something that they all have to learn. So far there are some children are not interested in technology, and they don't want to use it so much, except for, they say, okay, I go for humanities, and so I don't want to learn about computers. But that's something they can't afford to do now. I think
Yeah,
everyone has to learn that.
absolutely. So, what should the parents look forward to once the schools reopen? What do they have to be prepared for?
First of all, I think, yes, they will all be thinking about the security thing. So far, they used to ask about cameras. Now they'll be asking whether you have enough sanitizers and all in the corridors and things like that. Um, let's see how it goes, because, we are also wondering whether when can we reopen, and when we reopen, how are we going to handle it? It will be a staggered thing, so not everybody can come in at the same time.
Mhm.
So social distancing will still be maintained for some time. And so I think those are the protocols that we'll follow, and that's what the parents will have to also accept, that wearing a mask was mandatory for the child.
Hmm.
And they have to come, because many parents will, and maybe running around too much like in the playground and all might become little limited, although they can come back to a physical classroom. But maybe the P classes might not happen the way it used to happen earlier.
Right.
We'll just give them the normal exercises and things like that, but we can't really let them go out and hug each other and play and jump around. That will be a little restricted to some extent.
So, have you already thought about what measures you're going to take? Of course, you've told us what you're going to do, but is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
any like standard things that you're going to
Definitely, there
follow?
is a plan in place. I mean, there is a plan, and we are following the government guidelines. Government is already, and CBSE has already given guidelines to all schools
Okay.
as to how things should run once the school reopens, and how we have to, again, like I told you, like staggered timings and classes. Like if you're calling the juniors one day, you have to call the seniors the next day. So all
Hmm.
those things will have to take place. So that plan is definitely there. It will be put in action as and when the government tells us to reopen the schools.
Reopening schools. That's right. Ma'am, now what I've gathered from here is you guys are doing so much work for your kids. And besides your parents' circle and besides your community itself, how do you take this word out? How do you tell people, okay, look, this is what my school is doing? Do you have any avenues or platforms that help
We
you do
really
that?
don't believe in blowing our own trumpet as
Uh-huh.
such, but the good word just spreads, because there are a lot of happy parents, and the parents all definitely, when we have people coming in for admissions and we ask them, like, what made you choose DPS? They always tell us that, our friends, children are here, and they've given us a very good feedback. I think word of mouth is one of the best ways. Instead of putting up a big hoarding, you won't find a hoarding like that
Right,
with our school
right,
name.
right, right, right.
We don't believe in it. We believe that if you do the good work, it will definitely, seep out of the school, and it will, through parents and through people, it will spread. And our teachers are also good at their job, so many people know them,
Hmm.
and they know that they're doing a good job. So our parent community plays a big role in this.
Right. Uh, do you think that a platform like Hoopsters is important in today's world? Because what we are trying to do is just get the word out there and tell people that this is the good work that we just want to get the good word out. That's the whole idea. So people can see
Yeah,
that, yes, people are doing something good. It's not all bad. There are good
yeah,
things happening in the world. So
definitely.
is a platform like Hoopsters important?
Of course, in today's time, you see, everything is online, digital, and everything, and many people might not know what you're doing. Like if you are not really going out there and telling them, a platform like Hoopster is definitely important, because, like in the last session also when we discussed, teachers are getting recognition, and what work they're doing. And then I think we also discussed about where the gap is between the parents and the teachers. There's a whole misunderstanding happens sometimes. So I think if you bring up such programs, people will definitely get to know more. And so it's definitely beneficial, both
Correct.
for the public as well as for the schools.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Now, if I had to ask you to tell me in a few words why your school is the best, what would you say?
I'm sure there are a lot of good schools out there, but
What is
yes,
your school? So what makes your
my school is the best in the sense we completely believe in inclusive education, and we have done a lot for the children who are coming from the RT background, because they come from, we have a very good mix of children coming from all kinds of backgrounds, and there are certain children who cannot afford to have classes, online classes and things like that. They can't even afford to have the textbooks, and so what we have done is we have even photocopied textbooks and gone to their classrooms and delivered it to them. I mean, gone
right,
to their homes and delivered it to them.
right,
So not many schools would be doing that, because it's a huge expense, right? You are photocopying all the textbooks and all the notes and all that you need to give the child, and actually going and giving it to them.
hmm.
So that is something that I think we have done a good job, because we didn't just leave them to their own devices as to, okay, fine, the ones who can afford the online classes are taking the classes, and the ones who can't afford, we just forget about them. We can't afford to do that. So we have done the utmost for them, I think. We've gone out of the way and given them all that.
Ma'am, what I would like to request you to do is probably write about this a little bit and send it over to us. The reason
Sure.
is, the reason is this kind of work is very inspiring. You know, whether it is for students, whether it's for parents who are looking for schools or whatever it is, or even your peers. You know, it is something that's really inspiring. Whether it's your school or any school, when we see the initiatives they're taking, even for us, it feels like yes, our community has wonderful schools. So at some point, we're getting wonderful people out into the world. You know, so I
Yeah,
request you to please send us a small write
definitely.
about all your initiatives that you're taking. And
Okay.
it's been such a pleasure talking to you.